Alrighty, so we are live here on Facebook. Namaste, Family of Light. This is Baba Sharone here. I'm here with our powerful light workers that are getting on board in our Zoom format. But we are now doing a preview and a little chat, which is what we usually do, and sharing that also with our Facebook Live Family of Light. And many of you, look around this time and hear what needs to be said. But many of you are going to get this later on your news feed. Will not be current in terms of real time. However, as we know, all things are divinely orchestrated, divine synchronicity, and getting this at whatever divinely appointed time is the uh, is the is the time for you. It is the sacred time for you. So, who knows, what we do or what you do, an act of kindness or something that you share or some sort of enlightenment, who knows where that goes out into the cosmos. What we do know is that when we are aligned and we try to follow the divine guidance that's been given to us, is pretty much coming from love. It's pretty much it. You are your brother's keeper, in all different traditions. They speak of the same thing over and over again, that we are part of something much larger and grander. And the way to kind of align ourselves back into joy, happiness, bliss, a sense of deep-seated peace. We have like this very ancient memory that there is this does exist. It does exist. We may not be experiencing fully in this world, but there's some part of us that knows that this exists, and really that is what you could say is our spiritual quest. Our spiritual quest is to get back to this thing we can't put our finger on, but we know it's something glorious and wonderful, and we have a sense of that, which can be very distorted and blurred, if not 100% blocked in this world. And so it's so important that we do keep some sort of a spiritual discipline, whether it's reading books or pursuing your own personal studies. As a seeker of truth, we are seekers of truth. We have to find that ever eluding truth, and it's not just one thing; it's multiple things. So we are on our spiritual journey, as we start to do this. And as we go on our spiritual journey, it pierces through the miscreations, the distortions of this world, and trying to find that diamond of truth that we know is out there and somehow is connected to us. And there's not just one way of doing it, there's many traditions, there's many paths of doing it, but the core of it all is that it comes from a place of unconditional love. And that is expressed in kindness, that's expressed in support, tolerance, all the myriad of things that is uplifting, positive, and progressive. What's not that, one can say, I call it the anti human agenda, or some people may call it the antichrist or the anti-Maitreya, or, the service to self as opposed to service to others. And so that energetic, which it's clear that you can sense and know that is not promoting, it's not uplifting, it's not loving, it's none of that stuff. It's a sense of, like strong competition and power and greed. And it is a real energy. And so, what I would say to you is, what are we going to cultivate? uh what do we got? I believe there's a Native American proverb. It goes something like, which wolf? It's two wolves. One is like, an aggressive wolf, and one is like a kinder, milder wolf. And they said, well, which wolf, will I have? And it said that, whichever one you feed, whichever one you give your energy to. So that's applicable to where we are right now. I want to tell you that there are some things that are really powerful triggers for humans. And I would say, or challenge light workers, that we come, we have our own opinions, we have our discernment, and that's all good. That's all good. Because in the scheme of things, it's all one. However, there is such a push to bring forth dynamics that would want to get us emotionally charged, and it is a device or an instrument that is used and has been used throughout history to keep humans divided. Now, we are in a world of duality. But what we can do, as opposed to the seesawing of these polarities or these extreme polarities, okay, that seem opposite to each other, we can promote unity and bring those polarities into balance. That's actually something that the Divine Mother requested in 2010. She said, I need somebody to bring the polarities into balance. She predicted that there would be a time of extreme polarities. And part of how this, like the seesawing of polarities and the extreme, is not so much mental, but I've been given insight to understand is the manipulation of the emotions, And humans have emotions. In fact, emotions is something that's quite coveted in other beings that are out there in this multiverse. We have these emotions so we can experience deep love, and we could also experience, hatred and fear. We are the extreme polarity. So just like how we have the right brain and left brain, and ideally we can bring that right and left brain together, okay, using a same thing as the extreme polarities, bring the best aspects of either side together and create something new. That's how it works, and that's why it's good to be with a group of people. It isn't one person that has all the ideas, it's actually a synergy that takes place. It's when you have multiple people around, say in a committee. Okay, you may have one person has an opinion, you may have another person that has a complete different opinion. In fact, the conversation can be completely different and seemingly in opposing dynamics of each other. But when you will work with a group of people, what happens, the highest solution comes through, where one person or two-person couldn't do it necessarily. But if two people come to some sort of compromise, or other people are witnessing this and say, hey, well, I can see both sides of this. Here's the solution, which is the higher solution. So that's what I would challenge light workers, those who are awakened or awakening and piercing through the illusions and delusions, being able to see the manipulations that are taking place, see the manipulations of the human emotions. A lot of times where it gets so out of control, people say, well, why do you think the way you do, or why do you believe the way you do? And they really can't explain it. All they can do is have this feeling, of this rage, or this sort of, imbalanced emotion. And there are things most certainly that can spur that on. And that could be spurred on through fear, intimidation, oppression. That could be, the greatest one is fear. That's been on the planet since the beginning, manipulating humans. So, but at some point, okay, in our development, we have to figure out another way. Now, I want to talk about Memorial Day, and of course, we honor everybody who has served in any capacity where they were coming from that service from the highest of love, okay, to support something and that they feel is good. And we do have countries and there's patriotism, and I want to say that each service, whichever country you're on from, is that sense that I'm here to serve, ideally for the betterment of my country, or the betterment ideally of the world. So I want to also say, well, why is this? And I just saw something recently, and it was asking questions of a Buddhist priest, and they were saying, why is there such struggle, and suffering? And so what he did, he was saying that how things are, and it's not like why are things happen the way they are. Let's not have that topic right now. There's a whole nother story to that, but let's just deal with how things are in this creation, in this current creation. And one of the things that he said was he gave the analogy of the lotus, and how the lotus, in its fullness and its beauty comes from mud. It comes from mud. And so, for whatever reason, I would say in this creation, at least for part of the creation or the experience of this particular creation, there seems to be some sort of suffering that's involved. And I mean, if you look at all the great avatars of life, they also, they either were impacted by the suffering or they saw the suffering. And so that was something that spurred them on into finding, what is the purpose of life anyway? Why is this happening? And it seems that through suffering or some level of suffering until you get to a level that you don't have to do it anymore. But let's just say none of us are there just yet. Perhaps the ascended masters are, but let's just say we're not there yet. Is that if you think about it, it is through suffering that has challenged you to go beyond your self induced limitations, whether that is fear or whether it is, am I able to make it on my own or whatever the things are. It is this suffering that somehow tempers you so that the universe gets your attention, and so at that it's kind of like molding you into something bigger and better, because as they say, what doesn't kill you will make you strong, and there's a lot of truth to that. Now, should we always be saying, oh, this is just the way it is, it's just going to be suffering for the rest of my life? Not necessarily, but if we do come across some sort of challenge or suffering, we know that we could get on the other side of that. So, that's one part of it. But also too, I do feel that um, we will also have it at some point in our unfoldment and in our consciousness where we transcend that suffering. And that's where we are. And that's on our path to wholeness. That's on our path to unity. That's on our path to really embracing the diversity of what and who we are with the understanding that it's all one. So, on this Memorial Day, I'd like to say that yes, there is sacrifice involved, it seems, for us to be free. For us to be sovereign beings, there is a level of sacrifice. There is a level of, some suffering that goes on or disappointment. There's different levels to that. It goes back through, lineages and family ancestors. And if you look at the world, I don't have to tell you the history of the world, that there has been suffering, definitely part of this dynamic, but that does not mean that it has to continue. And that's why we are here in this epoch of time. We are here in this epoch of time to now change things, what is known as the divine plan. And the divine plan is really God's will. God's will is love. That's what it is. So anything that is not that intention, is something else. It's something else. And so that's what we're trying to wake up people to say, you know what? First of all, you hold the similitude of the divine within you. Okay. And our goal, okay, is to get out of this matrix of fear and manipulation by whoever, whatever, service to self, other agendas that are not necessarily in alignment with the highest good for humanity. And so we are the ones that we've been waiting for. No one necessarily is going to come and save us. We're going to, enact that Christ consciousness within ourselves, the divine Maitreya within ourselves. And that's going to help to bring in the higher celestial realms of light, make that connection because we are interdimensional beings and we can bring our beautiful planet and beyond into this higher frequency of balanced, perfect balance, peace. Bring it into the Shambhala worlds. There's many Shambhala worlds, worlds of paradise, okay, that exist where there's not duality, where there is not suffering and pain. So that's what I have to say about that this Memorial Day. I'd like to also invite anybody that is coming across this and would like to participate in the Anchoring Light transmission meditations. We work with the Ascendant Realms of Light. And we've been doing this for over 13 years, going 14 years. And most certainly will accelerate your spiritual path. But more importantly, we serve. It is our high capacity to serve, to anchor light to the planet. One of the things I want to mention too before I close our Facebook Live audience is to let you know that if you are local, we're going to have a very powerful mystical ceremony on Sunday, June the 6th at 3 p.m. It is going to be at the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light in Sarasota, Florida, that you can physically come to. We're feeling a little more good about our social distancing, so we're good with that. So we feel it's safe for everybody to come and participate if they would like to. But we're also going to have that available on Zoom for those of you that are not local. And if you would like to participate and you are not local, I would ask you to please get in contact with me. You can get in contact with me through the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light page, or leave a message on Facebook, either one, either Facebook or our Cosmic Center Spiritual Light website. That's how you can communicate with me. I'm Reverend Sharon Elizabeth, also known as Baba Sharone. And if you'd like the link, I'll be happy to send it to you. Again, it's going to be very powerful. We're using the names God, mystical ceremony, because in the month of June, and before I close, I'm going to ask everybody to do this. The month of June has great potential to be extremely volatile. I mean, extremely, extremely volatile. There's a lot of bombardment of what I would call the negative thought forms, trying to spur on war, and a lot of, as I talked about, the manipulation of emotions. It is front and center in this month of June. But listen, we don't have to be victims of this. We can remember who we are. We can say, you know what? Maybe we might be not be able to change that timeline completely, but we can mitigate it. You have to remember that we have influence. And the more you hold light and the more you come from that higher path, the more power that you have. And just think about it, when we come together as a tribe of light, we're very powerful, which is why we're having this mystical ceremony on the 6th, is to temper what's out there for this month of June in terms of energies wanting to be very disruptive. We're going to temper that. So, again, if you're interested in being a part of that, it is powerful work. Please let me know. If you resonate with that, you are absolutely invited. And if you'd like to be part of the anchoring light transmission in the future, if you're listening now, you say, I want to jump on real quick. Yes, you can. You would look at our Facebook page and just look for the Anchoring Light transmission. Click the information there and you just register in Zoom, and you always will be reminded you can always do an Anchoring Light thereafter after that. Okay, so with that, I'm going to say namaste to our beautiful family of light on Facebook Live, and we're now going to switch totally now to Zoom.